In this video, we're making our very first sourdough starter from scratch, using nothing but flour, water and a little bit of patience. Let's make our very first sourdough starter. One of the best things about sourdough is that you don't need a kitchen full of gadgets to get started. In fact, to build your first starter, you only need 3 simple things. First, a set of digital scales. Accuracy is everything in sourdough. Next, a clean glass jar. This is going to be your starter's home. I recommend glass so you can see all those beautiful bubbles forming as it grows. And finally, a simple spoon, nothing fancy here, just something sturdy to mix your ingredients together until no dry flour remains. For all your ingredients, all you need is flour and water, but think of your flour as your fuel for your wild yeast. While all-purpose or plain flour is reliable and likely to be already in your pantry, its processed nature means it might take a few extra days to waken up. Bread flour is a step up. Its high protein creates a stronger structure to trap those bubbles so you can actually see the rise. However, if you want to fast track your success, go with whole wheat or rye flour. These contain the bran and germ where the natural yeast lives. For this video, I'm using freshly ground rye flour since I'm lucky enough to have my own grainer. It's like high performance fuel for your starter. Now let's talk water. Quality and temperature are key. Most tap water contains chlorine to kill bacteria. Use filter or spring water if you can. If you only have tap water, just let it sit uncovered for 24 hours so the chlorine can evaporate. Finally, watch the temperature. Cold water can put your yeast to sleep and boiling water can kill it. Now, let's get mixing. Day 1 is simple. We're going for a 1:1 ratio. Mixing equal part flour and filtered water. Today I'm going to be using 50 grams of each. As you stir, make sure you're hydrating all the flour. You're looking for a thick, pasty consistency. If it feels a bit too dry, don't be afraid to add a tiny splash of water, but it should definitely be thick enough to hold its shape. Once it is smooth, take a moment to scrape down the sides of the jar. This isn't about being neat, it provides the dried out bits from moulding and gives you a clear view of the action. Now for the most important tool in your kit, the rubber band. Pop it around your jar right at the start line of your mixture. This is our 0 point, so we can accurately track every millimetre of the growth over the next week. By day 2 or 3, things are starting to get interesting. You might wake up and see a few tiny bubbles trapped against the glass, or more likely, you'll notice a scent that's, well, a little funky. Now we start our daily feeding routine. Every 24 hours, we're going to discard half of the mixture and feed it with our fresh flour and water. I know this feels incredibly wasteful at first, but you might wonder why we don't keep adding to it. But look at it this way, if we did discard half, we'd have a gallon of starter within a week. We're essentially giving our growth a colony of fresh, concentrated meal so it can get strong enough to lift that loaf of bread. So tip out half, stir in your fresh 50 grams of flour and water and reset that rubber band. By day 5, the transformation is usually complete. When you look through the glass, you shouldn't just see a few random bubbles, you should see a honeycomb of activity. The moment of truth has arrived, the float test. This is the definitive way to know if your wild yeast is strong enough to lift a heavy loaf of bread. Gently take a small spoonful of your active starter. Try not to stir it too much, as we want to keep all those precious gas bubbles inside. Drop it into a glass of room temperature water. If it sinks, it needs another day or 2 of feeding. But if it bobs right to the surface like a cloud, congratulations. Your starter is officially full of carbon dioxide and ready to bake. It's an incredible feeling when you realise you've just created life out of using nothing but flour and water. And there you have it, from a pasty mix of flour and water to a living, breathing culture ready to make incredible bread. It's a slow process, but I promise you that first bite of homemade sourdough bread makes every single day of feeding totally worth it. If your starter is bubbling away on your counter right now, I want to hear all about it. If you found this guide helpful, please hit that like button, it really helps the channel grow. And if you're ready to actually use the starter, make sure you've subscribed. In my next video, I'm going to walk you through my guide to creating your first sourdough loaf. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next bake.